Hi, welcome to Austin Home Buying 101. My name is Zach Barger and I'm with Wise Property Group. Today I'm looking forward to walking you through the process of purchasing a home in Austin, Texas, and giving you a full understanding of what to expect. Here are the top 3 benefits of home ownership. Number 1 is equity. A homeowner's net worth is 40 times greater than that of a renter in the United States. The primary reason for that is the ability to build equity with your monthly housing allocation. Whether you're owning or renting, most people's largest allocation of funds on a monthly basis goes towards housing. But as a homeowner, those funds go towards building your equity. Home equity is built in 2 ways. One is by paying down the principal on your mortgage, so via your monthly mortgage payments. And 2 is through appreciation, so the housing market increasing and the value of your home increasing over time. Austin is a great appreciating market. We're going to jump more into Austin stats later on, but this is a great place to build equity by simply paying down your monthly mortgage on a monthly basis and then allowing the market to increase the value of your home. As you can see from the chart, home ownership or home equity is a huge component of individuals' net worth. You can see that it makes up the majority of individuals' net worth regardless of their income level. This is just another example of why being a homeowner directly impacts your net worth. The second great benefit of being a homeowner is the financial flexibility that it creates. Oftentimes, individuals believe that if they buy a house, that they're going to be stuck in that situation for many years. Now, generally speaking, you don't want to be purchasing a house unless you're looking to stay in it for at least 3 years or at least own it for 3+ years. But with that being said, just because you aren't selling the house quickly doesn't mean that you don't have financial flexibility with that home. With a home that you own, you generate opportunities to create revenue. There's 2 different ways you can do this. One is via house hacking, which is renting out rooms either short-term or long-term. And you can do that via a duplex or just a single family home where you rent out individual rooms. It's a great way to generate revenue and have other people's money funding your bottom line, your home equity. Another thing you can do is eventually turn this home into a rental. Whether it's long-term or short-term, getting into a house initially allows you the flexibility of turning it into a cash-generating asset down the road. Beyond that, owning a home allows you to access your equity. Now, in Austin's market over the last few years, we've seen a great amount of equity gained through appreciation as the market has risen. Now, lots of times people think about being in a home as a way to be illiquid, not be able to access those funds. But that's simply not true. Having a mortgage allows you 2 different ways to access those funds if you have a lot of equity. One is through a home equity line of credit or a HELOC. Now, this is a short-term loan where you can take out against your mortgage to get some money to use for projects. Oftentimes, this is used for either short-term investments where maybe you're flipping a different house, or if you're just wanting to do repairs at your own home. This is a great way to access cash in order to do those renovations. Another option you have is a cash-out refi. So say that you've built over 6 figures of equity in your home, and you don't want to sell that home, but you want to invest in a different home, or you want to use those funds for something else, whether it's investment or maybe it's just something that you want to do, maybe a trip or something along those lines that you want to access funds for. With the cash out refi, you can take out a portion of the equity in your home with a new mortgage and get that money in your pocket. As a renter, you're not going to have access to any of this equity because you don't have equity. But as a homeowner, as you're paying down your principal on your mortgage and the market grows, you're growing your equity and giving yourself more financial flexibility to both generate money as well as access that money when needed. Our third benefit to home ownership are tax benefits. I get pushback on this one quite a bit because people will say, well, if I'm a renter, I don't have to worry about paying property taxes. That may be true on your bottom line, but the reality is a large portion of your rent payment is made up in property taxes. You're paying your landlord taxes, just not your taxes. But as a homeowner, those taxes can be a write-off for you. That can be deducted directly from your income tax. Obviously, you need to consult with a CPA on anything related to taxes. But in general, when you're a homeowner, you can write off property taxes, mortgage interest paid, and mortgage insurance paid. These are all going to come off your bottom line, giving you a discount on what you're paying on a monthly basis at the end of the year when it comes to your tax bill. Now, 2 of my favorite tax benefits are the homestead exemption and the capital gains exemption. So the homestead exemption reduces your tax burden for your property taxes on your primary residence, as well as caps how much the county can increase the assessment of your home on an annual basis at 10%. Now, what the capital gains exemption is, this is one of the coolest mechanisms of homeownership and investing in general in the world. Now, as a homeowner, if you sell your property that you've lived in for 2 out of the last 5 years as your primary residence, any capital gains that you experience from the sale of that home, up to $250,000 as an individual and up to $500,000 as a married couple, are completely tax exempt. That means you do not have to pay any capital gains tax on the profit that you receive from selling your primary residence. This is a great way to build wealth by taking that tax-free money and putting it into one or more properties after a few years of living in a property. This is a huge benefit to homeowners. Let's jump into Austin's housing market and what it means for you long-term as a potential homeowner. Austin's housing market over the last decade has increased at a pretty rapid rate. You can see on the chart that our average sales price has increased steadily over the last decade. In 2011, our average sales price was around $300,000, and in 2022, our average sales price in Travis County was roughly $700,000. That's a pretty solid increase over a decade. Now, I don't know that we'll see that amount of price growth over the next decade, but we are going to continue to see this upward trend. From 2022 to 2023, prices have been flat. That's primarily due to interest rates being much higher than they have been in the previous years. During this last decade, we've been living in a 3 to 4% interest rate environment, which is very conducive to a lot of buyers being in the market. To slow that down, our interest rates have increased, and we've definitely seen a decrease in transaction volume, as you can see by the blue bar that is lower than 2021. And in 2023, we've seen a big decrease in the number of transactions. But our prices have stayed pretty steady. Moving forward, Austin is going to continue to grow. As you can see from the population projections below, this shows Austin's MSA, which is Metropolitan Statistical Area. That is Travis County and the 4 surrounding counties, which are Caldwell, Hayes, Bastrop, and Williamson County. And in Austin's MSA, currently we have roughly 2.3 million people. By 2050, the Austin Chamber of Commerce projects that that's going to be around 2.9 million. And all the way to 2060, you can see that we'll be above roughly 5 million people in the Austin MSA. Now, this is a little bit of a brain buster, but what do you think is going to happen to housing prices if we basically double the amount of population that we have right now in the 5-county area? Yeah, I would agree. Prices are going to go up. There simply aren't enough homes for the amount of demand that we currently have, as well as the amount of demand that we're going to have in the future. As a homeowner, this is a benefit to you because you're building equity through that appreciation that's going to happen as Austin and the surrounding areas continue to grow. What are other reasons that people are moving to Austin? The reality is Austin's going to continue to grow because it's a great place to live. We have amazing food, we have amazing entertainment, we have the state government here, we have the University of Texas here that continually brings new people to Austin that end up staying in Austin and working in Austin. We have great high-paying jobs that are continuing growing as there's been a lot of tech investment in the area. And we have great people. It's a great place to live. There's a lot of fun people here, and there's a few bad apples, but for the most part, it's a great place to live. And there's a reason that so many people want to move here and will continue to move here. Long term, Austin is a great market to invest in. I'm currently continuing to acquire properties in Austin and am very bullish on Austin's market long term. Again, it's a great place to live, and because of that, there's going to continue to be demand to live here. We probably won't see the intense price growth that we've seen over the last few years continue, but we are going to see steady growth. I expect over the next 5 to 6 years that we'll probably see somewhere between 5 to 10% annual appreciation, which is still a great number than when you compare it to the average of 3.5 across the country. So that being said, Austin's a great market to invest in, and I myself am looking to put as much money as I can into Austin's housing market. Okay, so now you believe in the benefits of home ownership, you believe in Austin's market, now you're ready to get the process started. Where do we start? The first step is to build your team. The first person that we want to add to our team is a local lender. The reason it's important to work with a local lender rather than an online lender or a big bank lender, because they're going to be available to answer questions. They're going to know Austin's local housing market, which is a huge component of getting in the closing line. I've had multiple times where my clients have gone for what looks like a lower rate. At the end of the day, it ends up not being a lower rate, but it looks like a lower rate online. They go with this online lender or a big bank, and the whole deal blows apart because the lender just doesn't know the processes here in Austin, Texas. There's 10 to 15 people working on one loan rather than having one point of contact, and it just drags on. They don't hit deadlines. They're not communicative. It's just hard to get to the finish line if you're not working with a local lender. It makes a huge difference. And on the seller side, if they're looking at two offers that are similar, and one's with a local lender that they know and trust, and the other one's with a big bank, they're going to encourage their sellers to go with the local lender. They know that that deal is more likely to get to the finish line. In addition, local lenders are going to know about local programs, such as local grant programs that can help reduce your closing costs that big banks aren't even considered because they don't really make any money off of it. So generally speaking, a local lender is going to be able to create the best solution for you and give you the best opportunity to get your deal all the way from contract to the finish line where you get the keys. Now, the next member of your team that you need to hire is a realtor. Now, I know a guy. So bad. I wish I could wink. We'll work on it. Anyways, you need a local realtor. Realtors are experts in pricing homes, the negotiation process, home inspections, contracts, how to navigate multiple offer scenarios, and Austin in general. When I work with my clients, I put a lot of work in understanding Austin's market, understanding the process, and making sure that I'm helping my clients achieve their best outcome by using my knowledge, expertise, and experience that I've acquired over many years of operating in Austin's real estate market. My goal is to help you achieve your best outcome, and I'm going to be able to do that by working with you and helping you navigate Austin's housing market. One other cool component of working with a buyer's agent is it's completely free to do so. My commission on the buy side is paid for by the seller. You can pay me a few years down the road when I list your house for sale and we cash in on that huge amount of equity that you've gained over the last few years. But until then, you don't have to worry about paying me on the buy side. Obviously, I would love an opportunity to work with you and hope that I have the opportunity to help you achieve your best outcome. I take a lot of pride in doing that for my clients. On to our next step, determining how much you can afford. The first way to do this is by getting pre-approved with a local lender. The process is pretty straightforward. Most of the time you can complete an online application, but you can also do it on the phone or in person if that is your preference. Once you go through that, they'll ask for a decent amount of documents, pay stubs, tax records, things along those lines to verify your income as well as run credit checks and all of that good stuff. But once they've determined you are approved, you'll receive a pre-approval letter. We'll use that letter to determine the framework that we're going to use for our home search. A common myth that's thrown out there is that you need 20% down in order to purchase a home. That's simply not the case. You do not need a 20% down payment to purchase a home. In fact, there are 0% down options and multiple other options that are at 3%, 3.5%, and 5%. It depends on the loan program you're using and your qualifications. The 0% down options are USDA and VA loans. In order to qualify for a USDA loan, there are income restrictions, but the biggest restriction, generally speaking, are the location restrictions. It's based for rural loans, so there really aren't any places in the city of Austin that are available for USDA, but on the outskirts in Williamson County, Bastrop, some parts of Hayes, there are some opportunities to use a USDA loan. A VA loan is for veterans. If you are a veteran, you are able to use the VA loan product. It's a great loan product. There is no mortgage insurance on it. You get a great rate, and there is a low percentage down, as low as 0% down. It's a great way to get into a home and a great way to build wealth. The other low percentage down options are FHA. With an FHA loan, you're going to be putting down 3.5% as a minimum. Now, FHA loan is a great product. The one downside to an FHA loan is that there is mortgage insurance on it that if you are not putting 20% down is a part of your monthly payment. Now, mortgage insurance is insurance that's actually intended to protect the bank. Because you're putting less money down, it's considered that you are a higher risk individual to default on your loan. This mortgage insurance protects the bank if you were to default on that loan. Now, paying mortgage insurance is a much better option than waiting multiple years to wait till you get the 20% down, because the reality is you'll build a lot more equity in your home by getting into a lower down payment than you will by simply saving money over the long haul. So I highly recommend looking at an FHA product. And then with conventional products, you also have a 3% and a 5% down option on that as well. So there are plenty of low down payment options to get into a home. Now, the benefit of putting 20% down is you don't have to pay that mortgage insurance. What I like to tell my clients here is make sure that you are leaving yourself a rainy day fund. There are expenses that come with moving into a home, the cost of moving, unexpected maintenance, the cost of buying furniture, appliances. There's a decent amount of money that you don't think about after the closing that you want to make sure that you're leaving yourself plenty of wiggle room and giving yourself plenty of space after all of those expenses are covered. So in some cases, even if you have 20%, it might make more sense to do 10% down or 5% down to ensure that you're leaving plenty of money in your pocket and that you're able to handle the monthly mortgage in a comfortable fashion as well. When we work together, we're going to take this information that we get from the lender and we'll build out a framework from there. What's important to me is what you feel comfortable with out of pocket from a total closing cost component, your total down payment and closing costs, as well as your monthly payment. And we'll create a search based on that framework. Now that we have completed the determining how much you can afford step and got our pre-approval done, now we're ready to start the home search. So how are we going to find the right home for you? There are a lot of different ways to stumble across a home. You can see it on the internet. You can see an ad in the paper, although that's not common anymore, but I guess there's still newspapers out there. Who knows? You can drive by, you can see a for sale sign, visit an open house, or you can just hear about a home for sale. There's a lot of different ways to stumble across a home. When we work together, we are going to streamline the process. We're going to make this as easy as possible and get you in front of the appropriate tools to see the appropriate homes for you. The way we're going to do this is first determine your goals, understanding what area of town you want to live in, the components of your home that are important to you as far as size, location, any special features that you're looking for. We'll go ahead and narrow down the search with those included. On top of that, we're going to work within the financial framework that we've created with our lender and make sure that we aren't looking at homes that we can't afford. We want to be looking within our budget that we can comfortably make offers on and successfully get those offers accepted. We're going to use the best tools to look at these homes. I'll get you set up on the MLS portal. I'll get you set up on my app called Austin Home Search Pro. And then I'll also connect you with our Wise Property Group Buyers Club. What this is off-market properties that our team has created that aren't on the market yet. If there's anything that fits in there, I'll provide those to you as well. Once we have all those searches set up, from there we'll go out and look at homes. We find the appropriate home, we will make an offer on that home. So we've gone out, we've looked at multiple homes together. We walk into this one home and you just know, this is the place that I want to live in. This is a house I want to make an offer on. So should we take a night, think it over before we make an offer? Generally speaking, no. Even though Austin's market has slowed and there aren't as many multiple offer situations, we still want to move quickly. Now, just because you're making an offer right out of the gates doesn't mean that you don't have plenty of time to verify the decision and feel comfortable with that decision. We'll talk about the option period and the due diligence process that we're going to go through to ensure that this is a good long-term investment and that you feel good about it as well. But we want to move quickly. Even though there aren't as many multiple offer situations now, there are still plenty of them. And we don't want to run into a situation where they accept a different offer by us dragging our feet. So once we find the house we want to put an offer on, what steps are we going to take? Well, first, I'm going to generate a CMA for you. CMA stands for Comparative Market Analysis. Basically, I'm going to do a little deep dive on that property, get an idea of what recent sales that are similar to that home have sold for, and give you my market analysis of where I think we should make an offer at and the overall value of the home. Once we've done that, I'll reach out to the listing agent, let them know that we're going to be submitting an offer, and find out if there are any details that are important to the sellers that we should include in the offer. Is there a specific closing time they need? Do they need a lease back? Are there elements of the contract that are important to them? Do they really not want seller concessions for whatever reason, or do they not want a home warranty? Maybe there's some specific things that we can build into the contract that I'm going to learn through this phone call that we'll be able to build into our offer to make it as appealing as possible to the sellers, giving us the best opportunity to get it at a low price and get it under contract in general. Once we have all that information, we'll work together to build an offer, putting together the best terms for you and the most likely to be accepted as well. Once the offer is submitted to the listing agent, they'll have the opportunity to say no to our offer, counter our offer, or accept our offer. This is our first round of negotiations. If they accept our offer, they're going to sign off on the rest of the contract, making it an executed contract. At that time, we are officially under contract and we are moving towards closing. Now, what are some important elements of your offer? There's a lot more to it than just sales price. Sales price tends to be the most important and the one that the sellers tend to care the most about, but there are a lot of different aspects that can be a deciding factor for the seller in accepting our offer. Financing terms is a big component of it. How much are we putting down? How long is our financing period? Basically, how long do we have to get our financing approved? The shorter the term on that, the more attractive it is to the seller. Obviously, the longer the term for that, the more leeway we have within the contract to terminate and get our earnest money back if we're not able to get approved for the funding. Financing terms is a big component of the contract. So the more money down we're putting and the shorter our financing terms, the more attractive it is to the seller. Obviously, a cash offer is going to be more attractive to the seller because there's less risk involved for them. They don't have to worry about our financing going through. Another reason why it's important to work with a local lender is they are willing to reach out to the listing agent and talk to them about our qualifications and ensure them that there are no issues that are going to prevent us from getting to the closing line because they've already pulled all of our documents. They've done the initial underwriting. We're going to get to the finish line. So that helps put our seller's mind at ease that they can move forward with a financed offer if we're not purchasing with cash. Other components of the contract that are important, the option period and fee are a very important aspect of it. Now, this is where, when I said we need to move quickly with the offer, but we still have plenty of time to do our due diligence, this is where that comes in. The option period is a completely negotiable amount of time. Generally speaking, a common term would be 5 to 7 days for roughly $500 to $1,000. Now, that fee is completely non-refundable. That's going to go to the seller whether we move forward or not. But if we were to terminate during that time frame, say 5 to 7 days, we would lose that $5 to $1,000, but we would have no other money that we would be losing in the deal. So we have plenty of time to get an inspection done, to do all of our other due diligence and just make sure that's a good fit. Now, if we find that it's not a good fit, we don't feel comfortable with it moving forward, you can terminate. You'll get your earnest money back, which is generally 1% of the sales price, but you will lose what you paid for the inspection and the option period. But that's a low price to pay to give yourself plenty of time to make a decision with more information. Other elements of the contract that we can build in are seller concessions. Now, these are seller paid closing costs. So this is something that we can negotiate with the seller that's going to reduce what you're having to bring to closing. I've had scenarios in which my buyers have actually got to the closing table and they've got a check back at closing because we were able to write in seller concessions and they were using a VA loan. So we had a 0% down and the roughly 3% that we were paying in closing costs was covered by the sellers. And so they actually got a check back for their earnest money at closing. That's a pretty sweet scenario and definitely something that we can build into your contract to help reduce your closing costs. That's one of the benefits of Austin's market shifting a little bit because we have fewer multiple offers. That puts us in a position of strength in negotiation and we can build things like seller concessions into the contract. Other items that we can put in for your protection are residential service agreements. These are basically home warranties that are paid for by the seller. This helps protect you from things that aren't covered in your homeowner's insurance, such as appliances and HVAC systems breaking down. Another item that is negotiable is the closing date. This is one of the things that I'm going to find out from the sellers if they have a specific date that's important to them or if they need a lease back, meaning that we would close on the home and allow them to live in it after the closing so they can use the funds from the sale of that house to purchase their next house and complete their move. Those are all things that I'll find out from the seller if it's important to me, and we can build that into the contract, get a date and a time frame that works for both parties. If we do run into multiple offer situations, how are we going to be successful in that arena? This is where my expertise and experience is going to come into play. I'm going to be communicating with the listing agent, getting as much information as I can to allow us to build an offer that gives us a chance to be accepted, as well as the best terms long-term for you as well. We're going to use all that information and put it into our offer. We're going to write an aggressive offer, give ourselves an opportunity to actually get it accepted. One of the things that we'll include in our offer is a love letter. We'll tell the sellers all the reasons that you're excited about this house, a little bit about your story and why it's a great fit for you. Do a little bit of the emotional appeal towards the sellers to see if that comes into play. The love letter is a great way for us to separate ourselves from other offers involved and can be a deciding factor. All right, to the final steps. Once our offer is accepted, we have what's called an executed contract, and we are now moving towards the closing table. The first few days after an executed contract are a little hectic. You're going to be depositing your option fee and earnest money to the title company. You'll be scheduling an inspection. You'll be continuing the loan process of getting any documents over to the lender that they need. Once we get the inspection back, we'll look at that together and determine if we need to negotiate for any repairs or closing costs or reduction in price based on what we found in the inspection. At the end of the day, the seller has no obligation to say yes to any of those options, but we have the leverage to walk away. So in most cases, we'll be able to find a happy medium where we get either money off the total price or seller concessions that are going to allow you to handle whatever repairs you need to after closing. If we are comfortable with everything during the option period, we will then move on to the post-option period. Everything really slows down after that. We're really, during the option period, trying to make a final decision. Do we feel comfortable about moving forward with this house? Once we get past that option period, there's a lot happening in the background, but not a lot for you to do. In the background, me and my team will be working towards closing. The loan officer will be working on getting your final underwriting done and getting the final approval in order to fund the loan. The title company will be working in the background to verify the title is free and clear and is ready for transfer. We'll also be getting some items set up for you. So you'll be getting the utilities set up. We'll get the home warranty set up for you as well. And you'll be scheduling everything to get ready to move in. But like I said, after the post-option period, it really slows down quite a bit. And it's really just a whole bunch of hurry up and wait until we get to the closing table. But when we get to the closing table, there'll be a few hundred documents for you to sign. I'll be there to help walk you through it and answer any questions that you have. But once you finish that and the loan funds, you get the keys to your brand new house and you are in a position to start building equity through home ownership. I would love to help you through this process. I would love to help put you in a position where you can build equity through home ownership and be a homeowner here in Texas. Like I said, I put a lot of effort into helping my clients achieve their best outcome, and I would love for you to be one of those clients. Feel free to reach out, and I'd love to help. Thanks, my friends. Have a wonderful day.